We are in Tour English, Turismo en Inglés, el proyecto que quiere mostrar la buena imagen de la ciudad de Medellín. This project wants to show the best image of the city of Medellin. And in a moment, Don Aristides, who is a typical silletero here in Antioquia, he's going to tell us the name of the flowers that they use in the silletas. Julie, what do you think what's your opinion about the event we've been doing today?
I think it's beautiful that he loves his job so much. He loves his work, he loves the flowers. I think that anyone who is truly dedicated to what they do.
I want that before Don Aristides begins with the story, tell us one of the stories you prepare of flowers. Ella va a contar una historia de las flores en inglés y luego usted nos va a contar. Okay, people listen. Each story, Juliana is gonna tell us a story about flowers. She's an excellent storyteller, so she's going to share with us that before. Okay, Julie, it's all yours.
All right. Well, the story is from Argentina. But there are many, many different versions, and one of them says that even though this story comes from Argentina, it has to do with this land. Because you see, they say that some time ago there was a king. How, I do not know, if there have never been kings in Argentina, but they say that there was a king who had 3 sons. He was wise and just, and he ruled over the people fairly, but one day he became blind. He lost his eyesight, and he asked many different doctors, but nobody could come up with a cure. But one day, there was a magician who was traveling through these lands. He was from a very, very far land that no one had ever heard of before, and he said, "Ah, king, I know what can cure you. The flower of lilola. This is a magic flower, and it grows only in my country. Only 2 petals on your eyes will make you see again. But it is very difficult to find this flower, for it grows very far away, and it only grows sometimes a year." But the king said to his 3 sons, "If one of you can bring me one of these flowers and cure me, then you shall be king." The 3 princes thought, I would like to be king. And they set out together. They traveled far and wide for many months, until finally they reached the most beautiful valley they had ever seen, the valley of Aburrá, this one. Because it was only here that the flower of lilola grew. And they searched for it far and wide, but even though they found many beautiful sweet-smelling flowers, none was the magic flower of lilola. And finally they were discouraged, and they decided to split up. They said, "I will go this way and search this part of the valley, and you shall go the other way. And then, after a certain amount of time, we will meet again together and say what we have found." Well, the oldest brother went and began to cross a stream, because he saw that on the other side there were many beautiful flowers growing. But there was an old lady sitting by the stream, and she said, "Wait, young man, please help me. I am very thirsty, but I am so old, it is hard for me to go down to the water. Will you give me some water to drink?" But the oldest prince said, "No, I am in a hurry. I must find this magic flower. If my brothers find it before me, then one of them shall be king, and I want to be king. I do not have time to help you." And so he left her alone. Sometime later, the 2nd brother saw the old lady, and she asked him also for water. And he gave her the same answer. "I cannot help you. I do not have time. I must find the magic flower of lilola." But the youngest brother said, "Of course, grandmother, I will help you. Here, have some water." And he stayed with her, and he shared with her some of his food also. And she said, "Thank you, son. Because you have helped me, I will help you too. I know where the flower of lilola is." And she changed before his eyes. She was not an old woman. She was the Virgin Mary. And she said, "Here, take this flower to heal your father." The youngest prince was very happy, and he called his other brothers and said, "You do not need to search anymore. We have the flowers. Let's go back home." And they went together. But when they came back to the land of their father the king, the 2 oldest brothers began to think. And they said, "If our youngest brother gives the flower to the king, he will be king. He will rule over us. He will make us do things that we do not want to do. He will not give us power. we know that he will not let us rule the people. We cannot let him be king. I know. We will say that we found the flower, and he will never be able to defend himself because he will be dead. And that night, while the youngest brother was sleeping, the two older brothers stole the flower, put it away, and they dug a very deep hole. And then they grabbed their brother, threw him in the hole, and buried him alive. And then they went to the king and said, "Oh, father, here is the flower. Now you can be cured." Sadly, our youngest brother died on the journey. The king was cured, but he was very sad. He stayed by the window, looking out, and he wondered if truly his sight was worth the life of his son. And one day, he heard music. It was a very sad music that made him even sadder. And he saw a shepherd boy with his sheep playing a flute. But even though the shepherd boy was playing the flute was singing words. And the words said, "Shepherd, shepherd, do not play me. Do not let anyone play me, because my brothers killed me for the flower of Lilola." The king said, "What is this? Come, shepherd, where did you find that flute?" And the shepherd said, "It is very strange. I saw a cane growing by the river, and I cut it and made a flute out of it. But when I played, it says these words." The king said, "Let me play it." And when he began to play, the flute said, "Father, father, do not play me, because my brothers killed me for the flower of Lilola." And the king said, "Sons, come here now, play this flute." And the boys played it, and it said, "Brothers, brothers, do not play me, for you killed me for the flower of Lilola." The king said to the shepherd, "Where exactly did you find the cane?" The shepherd took him to the place, and immediately they began to dig. But when they dug, they found the prince. But it was a miracle. The prince had kept one petal of the flower of Lilola, and that petal had kept him alive, even though he had been buried. The prince came out of the hole, and the king said, "I cannot believe this. My other sons tried to kill you. I will put them to death." But the youngest son was a good person, and he said, "No, father, they are sick in their minds, but the flower of Lilola can cure them too, and they will no longer be bad people. Forgive them." And the king did. And when the two older brothers ate some of the petals of the flower of Lilola, they changed their evil ways. The youngest son became king. The two older brothers became wise and good. And all of this happened because of the magic flower of Lilola that they say only grows here.
Awesome!